Is crypto finally providing us with a decisive direction? Is TradFi and the US stock market about to puke heavily? How to invest very easily into oil? And what are crypto majors telling us about altcoins? All of that in today's episode. Let's go. Hello and welcome guys. Let's start this video off with looking at crypto majors. We have ETH here, and for those that are in the Discord, you have seen I've shorted the range high. We rejected a little bit. I moved my stop loss to break even and got stopped at break even now. It was a scalp anyway, hedging my spot exposure. Now my spot bag is printing. The hedge pretty much played out, did not cost me anything. And so now it's looking like the spot and long position patience is going to be rewarded. But in reality, we are not out of the woods yet. We have no decisive close or anything. This could still just reject from here and then go lower. Everything is possible, anything is possible, but in the end, now all of my long ideas are in solid profits. Patience was rewarded once again. And now we sit still at this support and resistance level for BTC. We still sit at this range high and also more or less a support and resistance level here on ETH. And the next technical resistance, should we just clear this area and go higher, is pretty much here around 2.5k, 2.6k. There's the 0.5 of the swing. We have another support and resistance level. And this would be the next target should we go higher from here. We take it level by level right now, we will see. And for that, we also want to look at the US stock market, because usually those are pretty much very tied to each other, like the risk market, the technology sector and everything. And we still have no decisive breakdown here on the QQQ, which is the US 100. We technically have no signs of strength. We don't really have any higher highs here, but we also don't have low lows. So we could treat this whole thing as a range here for quite a while already. It's in this range, and we are back at the range low. We retested this range low quite often by now. So when we consider it started here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So it's probably either now or we lose this pretty soon. And I think we're gonna get our answer this week. But for now, if I remove the range buys, it starts to look like it wants to roll over here. And similar the S&P 500. But as I said, also here, we could consider this a range. We could also expect another bounce from this range. We talked about this last week. I said there will probably be a bounce, and we bounced. So if you want to trade this, this is tradable as well. But obviously it doesn't really invalidate my higher time frame idea. And considering these as structural lows, we started losing them. We started rolling over, and looking at past PA and history of the S&P 500, which we did many times already. This usually means further downside. And we now have like a 5-6% drawdown. I'd say 10% or a bit more is not that unlikely, but we will see. Taking it level by level, prepare for everything as usual. Not gonna dive into those stock plays because nothing really changed right now, and I don't wanna make the video longer than necessary. Still have my short ideas running, still have my long ideas running. You guys, you know that in the Discord, you will find them anyway. Let's have also a quick look at other crypto majors, which in this case is Tether Dominance. Since weeks we talk about that we are at this extreme range high at this supply up here. And now we seem to get rejected. We seem to lose those local lows. If I go back to the daily. So we somewhat make lower lows here and lower highs. And this whole thing looks like it wants to go back down to this demand. But it's still not completely out of the woods, is what I would say. I mean, it doesn't really matter anyway to me, because I'm positioned for either outcome. I'm long crypto, I'm short crypto. And should this break down, I TP something of my BTC short from the top. And should this reject here, my short will still cover the longs. And once again, up, down, sideways, you have those three options. Position yourselves accordingly and try to see all of your positions as one big play. It's not just a trade here or there. The whole portfolio is your strategy, and your strategy should be built like a chess game, especially on higher time frame. You don't make one single move just because the sake of the move. You make a move because you have a bigger strategy, a bigger plan, and maybe you sacrifice your pawn for that. Maybe you even sacrifice an officer for that in order to get your opponent where you want to have him. And in this case, our opponent is ourselves and the market. You could consider like smart money, market makers, whatever, but in the end, we don't win against them. We trade alongside them if we want to win. And so build your strategy around that. Like, take every trade into account and see how it balances your portfolio, how it adds risk to a certain idea. All of that matters. So in the end, my whole strategy is always rewarding because I'm somewhat always prepared for ups, down, and sideways. And again, we don't have like a real decisive breakdown of this, but as said many times before, we have a very parabolic move up, a consolidation, and a breakdown back to this demand, back to the mid-range, pretty much to this very strong support level by now. Makes perfect sense. And this is what the long idea is about. If we then go even lower from here on tether dominance, that's good for us. USDC doesn't look as weak. We have more or less this little upgrind here, and we don't have any confirmation or any breakdown here. So this is important to know. You can also look at ETHBTC. It's now reacting from the weekly breakout block we look at since weeks. So we have this reaction, but we also still sit at this support and resistance level. Should we clear that, logical area would be the 0.5 and the supply here. And this would mean an outperformance of 15% against BTC. So if we consider this, then it's like 15% up here if BTC would not move. And if BTC moves, like maybe we get even this supply taking 3K again on ETH. But here I would say the market gets already kind of super hot again. And we have to see what people are doing, how people position themselves, how they react to such kind of move. And again, it's level by level. The first level of resistance is going to be this support and resistance at the 0.5. And also oil, because oil is somewhat pre-hot right now. So this is the US oil chart. You probably have seen that. It reacted super nice from this area down here. I'm not positioned, and I also have no rush in building a position because we are at this supply, somewhat at the extreme of this range. And I do not chase pumps. This is simply not my strategy. I mean, as a momentum trader, you probably will find some kind of entry, but if your strategy is premium and discount, this is not the way, not the place to go in. And also, some might ask, well, how can I build spot exposure on oil? And there's a very easy way for that. It's called USO, and it's a US oil fund, which is pretty much an ETF, which combines futures, several futures into one ETF. And I mean, it was a great point of launch here for early investors into oil. Dump in your face, pump in your face, and ever since then, a horrible performance. So people love this ETF, probably perfect time for launching it, probably not a coincidence. But overall, oil here is pretty undervalued for now. But again, we also here sit in supply, and we started making a higher high here. But really, this area needs to be cleared, and we also have a breakup block coming up here. So a clearance of that and a pullback into a discount level in demand or whatever would be appreciated to gain some exposure here. And also, this thing can go sideways for quite a while. So just because it's now super volatile, we could also simply do that, go back down, spend another 3 years or something here. So still take it with care, but this is a nice way to get US oil exposure. And this pretty much sums it up already. It's going to be an exciting week. We have FOMC on Wednesday. So if I open my calendar here, you have PPI on Wednesday, we have Fed interest rate, we have FOMC conference, all that. And the expectations are that we don't get a change. And usually if the forecast is saying there is no change, there's usually no change. I mean, we always can speculate on an outlier, but statistically speaking, if the forecast is saying there is no change in interest rates, there is usually no change in interest rates. So there's no reason to speculate around or break your head around what Paul will do or what not. In the end, we probably get no cut. What's really important is also what he's saying, how he's perceiving the economy, what he's saying for the future. But overall, in most cases, it's a nothing burger around those dates. but it will lead to volatility eventually, either before or right after, or even while it's happening. But sometimes it's also just not happening during the day. Everybody expects something and nothing is happening at all. But something will be happening, even if it's just a few days delayed, because people position themselves around this, because people give this some importance. And obviously, I mean, it has some importance, but usually not short term, but rather medium to long term. And so people take positions, and these positions can get flushed in both directions, because this is simply how the market works, right? And so we can expect something here. And that's it already for today. Even if you get a bigger bullish leg, stay alert, don't get complacent, don't start chasing crap coins. It's not worth it. If you get good crypto major exposure, maybe BTC, maybe ETH, maybe one or two altcoins, you got them all. They all move together. Yeah, some of them might move a bit bigger percentage wise, but in the end, if you take those plays, usually your stop loss is also a bit bigger. And so this is not changing anything, because in the end you trade RR. And so don't get gaslighted by those big green percentage changes. They don't mean anything. We trade structure, we trade RR, and we are positioned already. And so I wish you all a great week ahead. We talk in the next video. Bye.